Hi, my name's Martin and I'm on YouTube and other social media as the Sober Anglican, and I wanted to make a short video about 5 surprising things that I have discovered in 5 years of sobriety. So here goes with the first one. Before I stopped drinking, which was 5 years ago, I'm 63 now and I stopped at 58, I used to be hugely troubled with anxiety. It was really bad, and I'll describe it a bit more in some of my other videos, but for the purposes of this one, I simply want to record and to just state that when I stopped drinking, that anxiety melted away. And this link between drinking and anxiety is a very important one for people to understand and come to terms with, because if you're a problem drinker, there's a very good chance that you have a lot of anxiety in your life as well. But there's also a very good chance that a huge amount of that anxiety is actually fueled by your drinking. So that was the first thing that really hugely surprised me, was that when I stopped drinking, the anxiety melted away. And that's something that has constantly surprised me during the last 5 years. That was the first thing. The second thing that has surprised me about being sober for 5 years is that before I stopped drinking, I was worried about things like, well, what's going to happen about my friends, because all the people that I know, so it seems, are sort of like drinking mates at work and in other situations. And also, when I had various attempts at moderation, sometimes I felt a bit lonely and so on. And this can be something which can trip you up, especially in early sobriety. And certainly when I look back on my experience, I had a good few attempts at moderation until I find in fact one of those attempts was as long as 6 months, until I finally found a way of arriving at a place where I'm in a sort of fully signed up, settled position of going alcohol free. And one of the reasons that I've been able to arrive at that point is because I have discovered that, contrary to what the drinking brain might tell you, that actually community and connection can definitely be found in sobriety. Let me give you one example of that. Well, let me give you two. One example is that recently I've discovered that there's a huge sober community on social media, on all the various social media platforms. Just take a look for yourself. And also that far from losing friends and losing connection, I've actually found that it's been the reverse for me. For example, one of the things that's happened in the last few years is that I've reconnected with my church family. And again, I'll go into that a little bit more in one of my other videos. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that when you stop drinking, you get given back a lot of sort of bandwidth, headspace, and you can think to yourself, what on earth am I going to do now? But what I want to just clearly state is that when you stop drinking, again, it's completely counterintuitive to you when you are a regular drinker, when you're frequently flying with the alcohol. What's counterintuitive is that when you go sober, you are absolutely surprised to find that, far from being boring, far from being lonely, that actually what happens is that comfort and joy come back into your life, and also activity comes back into your life, for want of a better way of putting it. If you follow some of my other videos, and as I make more on this channel, I'll go into that in quite a lot more detail. But if you sort of want to explore that a little bit more, I would recommend 2 books by Catherine Gray. One's called The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober, which I credit with literally saving my life by reading it at the right time, and a recent book which Catherine has also published called Sunshine Warm Sober. And really both those books go into the 3 things I've just mentioned in a lot more detail. The other thing that's very surprising about sobriety, this is now point number 4, is that it turns out that when you go sober, if you've been a problem drinker for a long time, like I was, that when you get free of that shackle from your back, when you drop that anvil that you've been trying to swim across a lake with on your back, that in fact what you're doing is you're then free to embark on what I think is probably best described as a journey of self-improvement. That's the description that I like. I definitely feel that I'm now free to be on a journey of self-improvement. And there's a corollary to that, and it's really my point point number, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is that the corollary of being free on this journey of self-improvement is it's because I've moved from the opposite state. And the opposite state was when I was a drinker, I just felt that I was completely, well, if I didn't feel it when I was a drinker because I didn't know it, because my brain had been taken over by the drug, alcohol, and I was completely, for want of a better description, zombified, which is why I really love this thought that when you finally stop drinking, you have been de-zombified. And that is how I look at it. And it's definitely been my lived experience in the last 5 years. And finally, if I could just say one more thing, the difficulty with drinking for several decades, which is what happened to me, is that you're kind of caught in a sort of pincer movement, because the longer you stay frequently drinking, all the damage that drinking does to you in its various ways keeps racking up over time. Also, the sort of social miseries that go along with it, maybe trouble within your relationships. Maybe you think you're performing at work, but you know the experience of lots of people when they stop drinking is that when they do stop, they suddenly realise they thought they were functioning, but really they were only functioning at sort of 4 out of 10, all that sort of thing, plus the problems that I mentioned with anxiety. Alcohol also fuels depression. There's a strong link between drinking and suicide. So all of these problems that come in the wake of problem drinking, they go racking up over time. And of course, the pincer movement is because time itself is against you. As you age, it becomes more critical, more important that you question your relationship with alcohol, and if it's causing you problems in your life, that you stop. The sooner you stop, the better. As I said, I think earlier, I am 63. I stopped when I was 58, and I am so glad I did. It would have been so much better to stop earlier. And when I sometimes hear of people who stop earlier, it's great, and I feel a little bit jealous because they've got a lot of more sober life ahead of them. So the problem is that you sort of look around you and you think that you're okay because you think, well, everybody else is drinking. But let me just finish this video by saying that there's no safety in numbers when it comes to problem drinking. Anyway, that whole thing was, I'm afraid, a bit rambly, but I just wanted to cover some of the really surprising things that I've discovered in my 5 years of sobriety. If this floats your boat, please subscribe to the Sober Anglican on YouTube. You can also look me up on other social media, but the more people that subscribe, the more we can share the message of sobriety. It definitely helps. I passionately believe that sharing sober stories, sharing real world descriptions of what it means to be free from problem drinking and how people have arrived at that place truly help to save lives. So thank you for listening. If you've listened all the way through, please do subscribe. I will be putting videos up on this channel probably round about once a week. So hopefully I will see you again. Anyway, oh, actually, there is one more thing as well. The other day I went to, for the very first time in my life, it's got slightly off at a tangent, I went to an Ash Wednesday service for the very first time. And in that service, there was a hymn sung at the end. And in that hymn, there is a line which says, reclothe us in our rightful mind. So I would like to leave you with the thought, because I certainly feel that going sober has reclothed me in my rightful mind. Thank you. Bye.